My sister's wedding plunged into chaos while I was on vacation, prompting frantic calls from my family. "You're overreacting. It's just a wedding," my mother said. But I was not invited to my own sister's wedding. Instead, I scheduled a trip. Days later, my relatives blew up my phone. I sat there, staring at my screen, reading the message for the 5th time. "Hey, just wanted to let you know the guest list is finalized and we had to make some tough cuts. Hope you understand." Tough cuts. I wasn't some distant cousin or an old family acquaintance they hadn't seen in years. I was her brother, my sister, the same sister I had assisted through every crisis, heartbreak, and moment of self-doubt. It just cut me out as an afterthought. I glanced at the screen, a slow pang of disbelief spreading into my chest. I nearly laughed, because this had to be a mistake. I picked up the phone and called my mother. She responded on the second ring, her voice upbeat. "Hey, sweetheart, what's up?" I didn't bother making small talk. "I just got a message from Emily. She says the guest list is finalized and I'm not on it." There was a pause, just long enough to prove what I had previously suspected. "Oh, honey," my mother sighed. She always used that voice to make me feel like I was being unreasonable. "It's just a wedding. Don't make a big deal out of this. It's just a wedding." I felt a hot, stinging coil in my stomach. "You serious?" I asked, my voice unusually calm. "Mom, I'm her brother. How am I not invited to my own sister's wedding?" She produced a TSK sound, as if I were a toddler having a tantrum. "It's not personal. They had to keep the guest list small, and Mom..." I cut her off. "I just saw Emily's Instagram post. She invited 150 people." Silence, then a forced chuckle. "Well, you know how things are. Weddings are expensive, and maybe they assumed you. Wouldn't mind skipping this one?" I felt like I had been hit in the stomach. "Wouldn't mind?" I asked. "Mom, I've been there for Emily through it all. Helped her relocate twice when she lost her job. I covered half of her rent, and I was the one who helped her get over her last breakup. But now, I'm not good enough to be there on her special day." "Oh, stop being dramatic," my mother remarked with a sigh. "It's just one day. You're overreacting." I laughed briefly and without humor. Overreacting, right? I could already predict how things would go. I would argue my mother would shrug. Me off, Emily would certainly provide a half-hearted apology later. I'd be expected to forgive and forget because that is what I have always done. Not this time. Something within me cracked. If I wasn't worthy of inclusion, then fine. I would not be. I hung up without saying anything and began browse through my phone. If I wasn't planning to attend Emily's wedding, then I was going to be. Somewhere much nicer. I was going on a vacation. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I wasn't the type of guy who got upset over trivial matters. I had previously let a lot slide. Emily had repeatedly forgotten my birthday. Would only call me when she needed something. Our mother always wanted me to be the understanding one. Emily managed to get away with murder, but this was an entirely new level of disdain. I wasn't going to sit around moping while my sister and the rest of the family played happy little wedding without me. If I wasn't significant enough to be featured, then I wasn't significant enough to be present when they needed me. I grabbed my laptop and began looking up flights. If Emily could have the happiest day of her life, then I planned to enjoy the best week of my life. It took less than an hour to plan. I reserved all-inclusive accommodations at a 5-star resort in the Caribbean, a suite with an ocean view, spa services, and access to a private beach. I had always convinced myself that such a trip would be too pricey. Not this time. I wasn't just traveling for a holiday. When the wedding weekend came around, I was already on a plane, enjoying champagne in first class. I made sure to upload a picture, legs extended out, drink in hand, with this caption, "Guess I got cut from the guest list, but I think I'll survive." The reactions were nearly immediate. Some of my cousins sent laughing emojis. My aunt, the only rational member in the family, commented, "Good for you. Should have taken me with you." But the best reaction came from my mother. She sent me 3 texts in a row. Mom asks, "Where are you?" My mom, "Are you seriously missing your sister's wedding over this?" Mother, "You're being petty." Petty. I wasn't even close to finishing. I responded with a photo of the beach, complete with white sand, crystal blue ocean, and a postcard perfect. View. Then I shut off the phone. I wasn't about to let them guilt me, not this time. For the first time in many years, I was not putting my family first. I was putting myself first, and it felt incredible. By the time I arrived in paradise, I had entirely eliminated any lingering remorse. The moment I walked out of the airport, the warm ocean breeze touched me, bearing the aroma of salt and tropical flowers. A private car was waiting to drive me to the resort, and a stylish black SUV with chilled towels and bottled water in the back seat. Yeah, this was far better than a wedding. As we drove down the coast, I reflected on how right I had been to accomplish this. Back home, my family was presumably busy preparing for the big day. My mother was probably making excuses for why I wasn't. Present, my sister was laughing with her bridesmaids, not giving me a second thought. But I wasn't treated as an afterthought here. Here I was the priority. My priority. The resort was something out of a fantasy. The lobby had enormous palm trees blooming within a massive open-air architecture that allowed in the ocean wind and the kind of service where you were greeted with a cocktail before you checked in. My room, unreal. Floor-to-ceiling windows and a private balcony and the most gorgeous king-sized bed I'd ever seen. I threw down my things, strolled out onto the balcony, and simply took it all in. Then, just to make matters worse, I took a picture of the scenery and shared it with this caption: "When one door closes, another one opens," preferably to a beachside suite with unlimited margaritas. I knew it would find its way back to my family. And honestly, I hoped it did, because for once, they could understand what it was like to be left out, and I was only getting started. The first full day of my trip was simply fantastic. I began the morning with room service, which included fluffy pancakes, fresh fruit, and coffee that was so wonderful it ruined every cup I'd ever tasted. Then I spent the entire day doing precisely what I wanted. No responsibilities, no family. Turmoil, just me, the ocean, and a time focused only on my own enjoyment. By the afternoon, I was lounging on a sunbed by the infinity pool, martini in hand, watching the waves roll in. Every so often I'd check my phone, not to check in with my family, but to look at the growing amount of responses to my vacation posts. The comments were gold. Cousin Jake. Bro, where are you even? Aunt Lisa. Okay, now you're just showing off. An old college acquaintance says, dude, invite me next time. Finally, I received a notification that made me smirk. Emily saw your post. Oh, now she was paying attention. I could just imagine her reaction. Sitting in the bridal room, sipping inexpensive champagne, scrolling through Instagram, only to see me having my best life while she is anxious about her wedding. Good. I leaned back, took another sip of my beverage, and thought, enjoy your special day, sis. However, when the sun began to set, something unusual occurred. My phone started to explode. Initially, I ignored it. I figured it was just more people reacting to my photos. But then I noticed these names. Mom, Emily, Cousin Jake, even Uncle Rob. Call after call, texts coming in nonstop. I raised an eyebrow and eventually opened my phone. The first text I saw was from my mother. Mother, call me. It's an emergency. An emergency? Attending the wedding? I sighed, debating whether I really cared. Jake then sent another message. Jake's reaction, dude, you are not going to believe what just happened. Oh, now I was curious. Sat up and scrolled through the texts. And I quickly understood that the universe had given me the nicest wedding gift I could have ever hoped. 4. Because as it turned out, Emily's beautiful wedding had gone up in flames. I scanned through a torrent of messages. My sneer grew with each one. Jake replied, Bro, you dodged a bullet. Mother, call me right now. This is a family crisis. Emily, please, where are you? I need you. I stretched out in my lounge chair. I took another drink of my cocktail and continued scrolling. Then I discovered a message that made me laugh out loud. According to cousin Melissa, the groom simply walked out. I almost choked on my drink. Did the groom leave? Oh, this was better than I could have expected. Curiosity got the best of me, so I eventually texted Jake back. My response, what do you mean he left? Jake, Dude, during the reception, full meltdown. He and Emily had some huge fight, and then he just walked out, straight up left the venue. Jake again. Oh, and then Uncle Rob and Dad got into a screaming match over who was ruining the family's reputation. Grandma cried, "The venue cut the bar early. It's a mess." I leaned back, smirking. My sister had refused to let me attend the wedding, believing that she didn't need me. And now, suddenly, I was the first person they all ran towards. I could already hear my mother's voice in my brain. "You need to fix this. Emily is devastated." Yes, no thanks. I opened the following message. It came from Emily. Emily says, "Answer your phone, please. I need you." Oh, suddenly I was significant. I took a deep breath and typed back a single response. Me. Sorry. I'm a little busy enjoying my overreaction. Hope the wedding was fun. And then I blocked her phone number. I blocked my mother. I also blocked Jake, just in case he got drawn into their guilt trip operation. Then I turned my phone to Do Not Disturb mode, waved over the bartender, and ordered another drink. Because while my family spiraled, I was in paradise, and for once, I wasn't bothered. The following morning, I awoke to the sound of waves breaking. On the shore, the aroma of sea and tropical flowers wafted through my open balcony doors. I stretched and yawned, and for one lovely minute, I almost forgot about the pandemonium at home. Almost. Then I looked at my phone. Even though I blocked the majority of my family, I still had more than 20 missed calls from random numbers. Tried everything to contact me. Several voicemails had slipped through. Despite my better judgment, I pressed play on the first one. Mom's voice frantic. "I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is not the time for one of your tantrums. Your sister is devastated, and we need you here. This family needs to stick together right now." I rolled my eyes before deleting it. Next voicemail. "Emily is crying. Please just call me back." Click. Deleted. The following one had me laughing. Jake whispered as if he were hiding in a closet. "Dude, Mom and Aunt Lisa are planning to show up at your apartment when you get back. Which heads up. Grandma keeps saying the wedding was cursed because you weren't there. It's hilarious." Was that a voicemail I've saved? I tossed my phone on the bed and stepped out onto the balcony. The sun had just begun to rise, creating a golden glow over the ocean. I took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of it to sink in. Back at home, my family was scrambling to perform damage control. Meanwhile, I was here, sipping espresso while wearing a bathrobe, enjoying the best decision I'd ever made. And the best part? They were now feeling what I had felt when they cut me out. Unwanted, forgotten, left out. It was rather poetic, actually, but I wasn't finished yet. I grabbed my phone. I took a photo of my breakfast, which included Fluffy, pancakes, fresh fruit, and a mimosa that was so brilliant it might blind someone, and posted it with this caption, "Starting my day stress-free. Hope everyone back home is doing okay." Then just for fun, I went through my blocked messages, grinned at all of the missed calls, and ordered another mimosa. I didn't intend to call them back. Allow them to clean up their own mess. I was on vacation. By midday, I was relaxing under a secluded cabana, sipping a tropical drink with an umbrella, when my phone vibrated again. This time the message came from cousin Melissa. "Melissa, okay, I know you're mad, and honestly you deserve to be, but you have to hear what happened after the wedding. Call me. You're going to love this." I raised an eyebrow. Melissa has always been the only cousin with a brain. If she mentioned that I needed to hear anything, it was probably worth the time. So, despite my better judgment, I called her. She answered the first ring. "Oh my God, you're finally answering," she said, unable to contain her joy. "Okay, are you sitting down?" I gazed about in my shaded cabana, the vast ocean in front of me and the chilled beverage in my palm. "Yeah, I think I'm in a good place for whatever this is." Okay, after the groom left, Emily had a complete meltdown, and I don't mean a few tears. I mean yelling, wailing, and throwing objects at the wedding party. I smirked. "Sounds about right," Melissa continued, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. Everyone was attempting to calm her down. Mom overheard Aunt Lisa suggest that the disaster could have been avoided if you'd been there. I blinked. Wait, what? Melissa giggled. Yes. She was saying that you've always been the one to mend problems when Emily spirals. That if you were present, you would have talked sense into the groom or handled everything like you normally do. I burst into laughter. So let me get this straight. The same family that barred me from the wedding is now blaming me for not being present to preserve it? Oh, it gets better, Melissa remarked. Mom told Lisa she was acting ridiculous, and then they started fighting loudly. Then Grandma became involved, saying Emily brought this on herself because she offended the cosmos by not inviting her brother. I almost choked on my drink. Melissa was cackling now. Grandma lectured Emily in front of everyone, stating if you had treated your family better, you wouldn't be alone in your wedding dress right now. I leaned back, smirking. Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, and then Melissa said, your mother attempted to contact the groom's family to resolve the situation. His mother just smiled and said, this is your issue now. I had to set down my drink before I spilled it laughing so hard, so I said, collecting my breath, where does that leave Emily? Melissa sighed, still weeping, still blaming everyone except herself. Last I heard she was trying to save the wedding with some sort of backup plan, but let's be honest, she's not going to recover from this. I shook my head, grinning. You know what the best part is? Oh, what? I took a slow sip from my drink. I don't care. Melissa roared with laughter. Honestly, I don't blame you. Shh. I just thought you'd appreciate knowing that karma did its job. Oh, I love knowing that, I remarked, smirking. Thanks for the update, Melissa. No problem, she replied. Enjoy your trip. And for the record, you did the right thing. More satisfied than I had been in years. They wanted a wedding without me, and now, thanks to their own selfishness, they had a disaster instead. I grabbed up my drink and raised it to the heavens, and I toasted to the best decision I've ever made. Oh, then I turned off my phone and relaxed back in my cabana. Let the beach air sweep away the rest of my shame. For the remainder of the day, I didn't look at my phone. Instead, I scheduled a sunset cruise, allowed the warm breeze to wash over me, and had a 5-star meal by the seaside. My family was still, picking up the pieces from Emily's wedding tragedy. I was enjoying the greatest steak I'd ever had. At some point, a notion occurred to me. Perhaps I should feel sorry for her. Then I remembered how she left me out without hesitation. No. I took a sip from my wine. I took one last shot of the view and shared it with one caption, 0 regrets. Finally, with a contented smile, I turned off my phone again. Let them stew. I was done being their backup plan. The following morning, I awoke feeling lighter than I have in years. There was no guilt. There was no tension. There were no last-minute family emergencies that became my job to solve. Just myself and the sound of waves and an entire day of nothing but rest. I stretched, ordered room service, and out of curiosity, I turned my phone back on. A big mistake. Mom said, "You need to stop acting like a child and call me." Emily's response, "I can't believe you're doing this to me. You're so selfish, your mother. This isn't funny." Emily is heartbroken. Do you even care? Unknown number, possibly my aunt. We need to fix this family before it's too late. I groaned and shook my head. It was almost surprising how swiftly they moved from ignoring me to expecting me to cure everything. Then one message struck my attention. Melissa, okay, I understand you are ignoring everyone, but please read this. Your mother is trying to gather the family for a discussion when you return. Just a heads up, I almost laughed aloud.
Oh, babe.
Assumed I would return as if nothing had happened, as if I'd just come up and let their guilt trip me and pretend the entire thing never occurred. Yeah, not happening. I quickly replied to Melissa, "Me, thanks for the warning, but I won't be there." Melissa says, "Wait, what do you mean me? I'm extending my trip. They wanted to cut me out, okay? I'm cutting myself off altogether." I could almost see her reaction, a combination of astonishment and amusement. A few seconds later, she responded, "Melissa? Okay, that's iconic. Tell me everything when you get back, whenever that is." Lol. I grinned, set down my phone, and grabbed up my laptop. With a few clicks, my trip was officially extended. Another entire week. No family, no drama, no family discussions. It's just me and the water. They never allowed me to have peace, and the best part? They couldn't do anything about it. Before going to the beach, I sent one final text. Me around? Sorry, I'm too busy enjoying my overreaction. Have fun cleaning up your own messes. Then, for the last time, I blocked their numbers. I put my phone down, ordered another drink, let the sun warm my skin. There was no guilt, there was no tension, no regrets. It's just peace, and it was the best decision I've ever made. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around.